Good morning. Oh, last night was interesting. Oh, it took a lot of meditation to cleanse the fire hose of angst. And I have to thank you all who were there. I know it wasn't pleasant, but you helped me a great deal. All your prayers and all your love and concern and empathy truly helped me. So what is that? When we look at that, good day. Hey there, dragon. So here it is morning, and we had a really good chat. How'd you like going into the Hambu? And all of you can do that on your own. 20% in, 40% out. This is going to be a short one because my battery is a little low. I'm at about 58%. So that's about 20, 30, 40 minutes. And it's definitely Ice Station Zebra. It is like, it was at 9, right now it's about 9 below zero. Did any of you see the moon eclipse last night? I woke up, I went outside, I should say, around 11, and it was either waxing or waning, but it was right in the middle, and it was quite beautiful. Again, these are, when these astronomical events happen, all our relations, 9 generations before us, saw these things as what they are, harbingers of opportunity. Right? And smart folks understood this. The rest of the sheeple basically got waxed. And the powers that be basically want to wax us all. And, you know, but a higher power loves co-creation, constantly says, no, I don't think so. As long as there are a few, as long as there are a cadre, as long as more than 2 come in my name, there I'll be. Now inside it's like 10 degrees. That's why I started the fires, And, I can barely walk, yet I had to carry the wood down here. John, when I actually am doing it and then ask him, can you give me a hand? He will. But that is the problem of ego. It is a cell, right? When all we can think about is us and why people are dissing us, right? Why is this not working out? And then when what we so wanted we attain, then it's not good enough. It's and that's why egoless ego is we live in this illusion world. We have this mud puppet, but we don't have to be we don't have to relinquish our free will, right? So that's what it's about. To, as Buddha said, stay awake, be awake. What are you, man? Are you God? No, I'm awake, and that's what it takes. Okay, I think it's time to close the door here. I can go upstairs. It's a little warmer upstairs. Yep. The moon is, many things. As we, as so as we, no, all as we are. How's that? My favorite line from Battlestar Galactica. So say we all. That's it. So say we all. And, that's kind of what we all are. We are many different things. And we have, because of our free will, we can choose to be our better self. Or, as we saw last night, our worst self. For no reason at all, We don't have to consume. I mean, what is addiction? But our obliteration of our free will. That's what addiction is. We obliterate our free will. I should not be able to do this, right? But I use my free will to do it. Because no one is going to start that fire. You have to go upstairs and start John's fire. Which is all right, I've always been a firekeeper. I've always been, the housekeeper of the Hambu. And all my masters who I've served have appreciated the fact that I try, Others judge by, you didn't do it well enough. You didn't get it done the way I wanted it done. Then, if you want it done a certain way, you should go do it. But I don't want to do it. It's not fun. This is ego speaking, right? And I am no saint. I am just your humble Sensei Al-Bab. And what I do my best. The thing stuck in my tooth. And my teeth are like my legs. A dentist want to pull them out and replace them with implants and or false teeth, but that's a couple $1,000. Like when you live on $300 a month, well, it's kind of hard. I mean, last month I had to replace 2 of my front tires. And the guy at Firestone was a saint. Instead of charging me $500, he charged me $120, because that's what it cost him. And he gave me a full tank of gas. And that's a miracle. Now, I'll tell you a good miracle story. So I met my first wife on the subway, which was a miracle. And the J and the M train in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, right? Going over the, getting on where the F train cuts across the J and the M train. I got on there, and the J and the M train was predominantly Hasidic Jews, guys in black coats, and women in 1960s dresses with kabushkas on. And, basically, many, many, many cultures, the women cover their head. My grandma, Italian Catholic, she always had her head covered, right? The Hasidim, all the women, have their hair covered. Lubavitcher, all the women have their hair covered, And to think that only the Muslims do it and the women are oppressed, I don't think so. And again, I lived in a Hasidic community for 8 years. I went to, a rabbi school, Lubavitcher, to be a rabbi. My rabbi, who was my landlord, because all the buildings in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, were owned by the Hasidim. They bought them from the Dutch for a nickel, and lived in a toxic waste dump, right? That whole area, Domino Sugar was there, all the brewing companies were there. But before them, all the tanning companies were there. I mean, that whole part of the East River, all the way up to where the Bronx River is. And then you kind of turned right into Queens, and that was like little Venice, you know. But man, that is so toxic for 200 years of dumping lead and zinc and I mean they should mine those waterways. Anyway, judgment is the fuel. Hate is the fuel of ego. Judgment is the car. It's what drives, right? So, I think today we're going to be looking at what motivates our worst self and how easily we can, not, we can be the angel rather than the devil, right? Every second of this non-existence of linear time, we get to choose to be like Donald Duck, and be the angel, or the angels of our better self, or the devil of our better self. And whichever we go, it's still us. So we have the choice. That's what free will is about. I mean, last night, you didn't see the fire hose of the pestilence coming from JB's open wound of his sorrow, right? Of his life. But he, if you physically look at his life, he's been having an amazing physical life. He grew up in a white privileged family, not super rich, but well off. He got a good education. He's got a great, he could go get a job in any college, right? If he just kept his mouth closed and smiled, he'd have a job right away, right? And, if he could be as much a human being as Mark Zuckerberg, So, but he's not, because he takes every moment of the day as an affront. And I've been watching him. People go, "Why are you up there?" Number one, he's my friend. I do not give up on friends. I've been trained to deal with things like this, right? Well, I haven't really done it this way. Almost 30 years. When I hung up my shingle was about 30 years ago, because I worked for lots of folks. I worked in lots of institutions. I worked, doing research. I worked at every aspect of mental health care. And it is a corrupt, sick, the craziest mofos I've ever met were, psychotherapists who were in charge of something. Yep. And the oil that really works great? Oh, where is it? It is that oil that is called, where is it? Oh, I need to douse my teeth with it. One of you sent me Carbon 60. There it is. This stuff. Yeah. Good and cheap Carbon 60 olive oil, right? And all I do is kind of sprinkle it along my gun line. And not only, your under your tongue is one of the most absorbent places in your body. So I squirt it down there, and it goes throughout my whole mouth. It goes into my digestive system with my saliva, which is the best thing you can do. And then it goes throughout my whole, digestive tract, into my pulmonary system, and then to every cell. Now, as we have been experiencing, the most healing thing is meditation and bringing the prana into every cell. But this Carbon 60 is good stuff. And then, we have one of the great things about here is the water. We have some of the healthiest, cleanest charcoal water, really good too. Yep. I put a few drops of that into our delicious water, and that's kind of what I drink. I have lemons, I have limes. I squeeze that into water, so it's alkaline rather than acidic. And then I throw a few drops of this, and that's kind of what I consume most of the day. Since I'm stuck here, we've been stuck up on It's Ice Station Zebra since a week ago Friday. So, and it's a beautiful day today. This is what I wake up to. That's what I wake up to. This window here. Yeah. The only thing fluoride does is turn your amygdala and your all your other emotional glands to salt. That's in the Bible when those people were turned to salt. That's the salt they're talking about. You know? Yeah, I also take a couple capsules of activated charcoal and turmeric and cinnamon and that whole family, right? Yeah, yeah, Arm& and Hammer. Yeah, I got a little box of that. I stick my toothbrush in. And the other stuff that's quite good. Where is it? Where did I put that? First of all, vitamin C. I chew these things all the time. But xylitol, Xylitol. That stuff. It's a artificial, not art. It's a natural, non-sugar sweetener, but it's amazing for your gums and your teeth. Yeah, the pineal gland. Yep, turns it into salt. Da, 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 da. And who in their right mind can even believe if you put fluoride in the water? How is that going to fix? It just kind of shoots right by your teeth. It's not doing anything. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Whee! Hey there. You know what this is? This is Bob Claus, Santa's younger brother. And I'm up here at Ice Station Zebra, right off the North Pole. And I take care of, Ice Station Zebra is paid for by the NSA and the ONI and all those other alphabet guys. That was started in 1947 by the passage by Harry Truman of the executive order of starting the national security state. But that actually kind of started back in Babylon, back in the day. And Babylon ain't someplace in Long Island, New York. No, no, that's not the Babylon I'm talking about. Walking down the street, 1% was do 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 woo. So, what does Santa Bob say? You know, Bob Claus. Christmas is every day, not just one day a year. Yep, it's to keep the people docile. Alan Dulles, the Dulles brothers, those guys. I mean, they were in Brown and Water legal company that was the lawyers for the Rothschilds. When they were the people who put together the Federal Reserve. I met a banker the other day, a banker, right? And he actually was a Federal Reserve banker, right? And we started talking, and I said, "Buddy, did you know that the organization? How long have you worked for them? Oh, I've worked for the Federal Reserve for, 40 years, right? And I'm in charge. I'm like the second in charge of. There's 10 sections that the country split up. He's in charge. He was in charge of one of those sections, and he was number two man. And I said, "Oh, so you went to all the big meetings?" "Oh yes, oh yes, we went to all the big meetings." And I said, "So did you know that the Federal Reserve was a privately owned stock-held corporation?" He goes, "No, it's part of the government." I said, "No, no, 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 no. Federal Express is more part of the government than the Federal Reserve." And then, I walked him back to the point where he goes, "Oh, I never realized that." Talk about drinking fluoride. Do 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 do. What did esoteric say? In part per million. do, 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 do. I don't buy that, but it definitely works in modern society. A revision as it happens. Well, Ink, I wouldn't quite call you a revisionist. You know, you take everything with a grain of salt and you pursue it with a scholarly attitude, not a scholastic attitude. That's what I would say. You know, the term revisionist has such a, leaves a bad taste. And to be a revisionist, you basically have to be a scholastic and not a scholar. Do, 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 do. Ketamine. Ketamine for mood disorders, Jane? Well, before I would go to ketamine, I would, have someone meditate. I would put someone in a group. I mean, the kind of therapy I did, group therapy. That's what I facilitated on in lots of different levels, right? And getting people to talk together, especially, getting people to talk together, like in I would get not just people who didn't know each other, but that has its place. I would get the family together. I would get the business together. I would get all the people who were involved in the struggle of the trauma and get them to talk. And I think that's a lot better than ketamine. But pharmacology, used correctly, has its place. Buddy would tell you this. Now, if you are on someone's public water system, basically you've given up taking care of your own health. You got to go someplace like this place, and the Deep Green has unbelievably great water, and you have to know what's in your water. I was in Asheville, North Carolina. I was on their water board. I was, I was a consultant. I never wanted to. Someone offered me to join some club. Like I was working at a university, and I'd been there longer than, I was contracted for. And they kind of got to like me at that place. There was only one of me, so they didn't have to kill me. There were more. They might have had to, round us up. But anyway, so I was in this, anthropology department. And my boss, the guy who was in charge, who wrote all the books, took me to Egypt to look at stuff. And he was going to retire. And he goes, Al, if you would only come to the cocktail parties, if you would only stop wearing your pajamas, if you would just wear a sports jacket and a pair of corduroys, I know you have one pair. I've seen you in them. If you would just dress that way, I could put you in charge here, and then I'd feel good. If I could retire with you taking my chair, I would. And I quit that day. I said, sorry, I'm out of here. And he said, no, 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 no. I was going to give you a degree. You need a degree to get this job. I said, and I, had this conversation with him. You want me? I said, you got to be kidding me. To run this place? No. I mean, I can fit in because I don't have to, be a scholastic. You want me to run the place? You got to be kidding, And I left, basically what I did, I said, the only way it was like turning into a beautiful spring. I said, so you must have, you're going to retire like in the next, year. You must have a shitload of vacation time. Why don't you use all your sick time and vacation time up and have nothing to do with this place? And he says, well, that's, and he said, I guess I should try because I am going to retire. I said, yeah. So we took a nice trip into the mountains of Colorado up there near Estes Park, and that neck of the woods is gorgeous, especially in the 70s. And God knows what it looks like now. There's condos hanging off of every mountaintop, probably. Anyway, and we talked, and we did a few things he never did, in a pharmacology point of view, and he said, "You're right. You could never fit in here." I was. See, he was projecting an expectation. The expectation was, hey, here's this guy, Al Bob, who kind of was what I wanted to be when I started doing this. And I, went the other direction as the scholastic. I didn't have the guts. And then I got married, then I had kids, and I had to pay the mortgage and get the braces. And, I became a tenured professor, and then I wrote those books, and then people thought I really knew what I was talking about. And then I got to escape to go on these sabbaticals, and that was my life. And before I knew it, I was 70 years old. Now, here's this guy who's in his 30s, and he kind of does what I wish I could do. And so I'm kidding myself to think that if I put him in charge, he'll change this place. Never going to happen. And he is at least honest enough. Instead of going for the paycheck and the power and the nice house, because this university, you head of a department, you had a chair, man, they give you a freaking office and a house. I mean, a nice house, and money to run all that. It was like, Well, again, Dragon, pharmacology has its place, but the problem with pharmacology, it's run by profit. And if you put ketamine in a modality of, oh, let's give it to everybody, you'd have a lot of ODs. I mean, just look what happened with OxyContin. Isn't that cute, that little bow there? So, whenever you kind of mix the modality of profit and healthcare, you get what the United States has. We spend 48% more than the rest of the frigging planet put together for healthcare, and we are number 62 in outcome. So, giving folks ketamine, yes, on a one by one, very controlled environment might work, but within the big pharma, Dragon, do you really think I'm, demonizing this? No. Do you think I demonize anything? Look at me. I was the guy who, said, "Oh, listen, we have to love this troll," And that's the thing that kind of gets rid of that. Yes, Ink is right. All these drugs can be obtained from your body, your body. And that's what meditation is, Dragon. So, Dragon, have you been meditating? How many times a day do you go into state? How often or have you visited your library? Have you done research on ketamine in the Akashic Record? These are what all the great scientists did. Einstein, Tesla, Morey, Faraday, Alan Watts. Ketamine and bongos, exactly. Exactamente. So, Dragon, I really, really, really want to hear from you on your experience in meditation. I really, really want to hear from you. If you don't want to do it on the chat right now, you can get a hold of me and we can have this discussion, at the DudeAwake42 at Gmail. And any of you, want to have, a lot of you, we have long discussions about lots of stuff. And, my responses are pretty detailed as I try to do it here. It's not for Jammy. Where, JAMA and its father of the American Medical Association, who started that? Come on, anyone know? You guys are smart. And every time I ask a question, somebody pops up with the right answer. Alex, I'll take pharmaceuticals for 300. The people who started the American Medical Association was an aluminum siding salesman. and he was the executive director and the board of of it. He was the head dude for a good 20 to 30 years, and he had not a he didn't get through high school, and he was a aluminum siding salesman. His brother was a doctor, and as an aluminum siding salesman, he was making more money than his brother as a doctor, like in the 50s or whenever that started. And he said, "This is stupid. You guys should be making a lot more money than this." And that's where we got, HMOs from an aluminum siding salesman. An aluminum siding salesman is just between a used car salesman and a snake oil salesman. So go Google that one. I'm sure it's in there somewhere. And that's what our medical model is built on. That's what Big Pharma is built on. And basically, Big Pharma is still the friggin' Nazis. Bayer is the friggin' Nazis. They were around. They were like Siemens and all the other folk. BMW. See, and Dragon, you're being. I'm not attacking you. You're part of the cadre. You're part of the chorus. No, baby, I'm not attacking. I'm just saying, open eyes and take a look. Do your homework. Come back. I'm just putting out some questions. Because I don't believe in anything, Dragon. The only thing I have is faith in love's co-creation. Right now, again, I had a shingle, and I was close up to that institution for a good 4 years, and ancillary it for another 20. My observation was when things are run by money, you have a poor outcome, and it's you can see it just by watching any pharmaceutical advertisement. And for that zits you have, take a Larry, and it'll maybe in tests, placebos worked better, but the side effects are cancer, blindness, impotence, your sex organs will fall out. Yes, you meditate every day. Good. Do, 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 do. Ba, ba, ba. Well, good. Let's move on. Yep. Because it kind of started with ego, and the process of becoming egoless egos. When you're in the material world, you kind of your ego goes along with the bag of water, but you don't have to wear your ego on your sleeve. You don't have to think everything's about you. You don't have to feel that you're being attacked, and when you let your ego go, you can let other things go, like expectations, right? The worst thing to have in your life is expectations. Yeah, Dr. Joe is and I have to thank you again, Inc., for dropping that on me. And I'm going to watch it again. The more chats are kind of get my brain working to think today about what I'm going to talk about tonight, right? And I'm going to go watch Dr. Joe a few more times in its entirety and take notes. Ba, 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 ba. Boom, 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 boom. 34 minutes. Placebo results are proof of the inner abilities. Exactly, Inc. Thank you, brother. Yeah, I'm going to have to get an account myself. That's why I kind of, I want those who have the skills to, put their thinking caps on and let us build our own Facebook, our own Instagram, our own, and have it as a hub that we can go from here, from, or Gmail accounts, The way you guys put links on my Gmail account is would be a great thing if we could have this platform that we could simply stick stuff there, everyone, you know, and if that hub could be group sent out to everybody, and then you go to that hub and there are all these things that you can go and watch and do and use. So I actually work pretty good at building things of that nature, but I can't do it by myself. I'm Aquarian. I do things in a collective, in a group, in a cadre, right? In a chorus. Whoops. Well, I appreciate that, Dragon. Do 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 do. And gang, one of the I'm a strategist. I'm an organizer, right? And one of the best ways, and I've kind of just using the Iroquois Great Law. That's our Constitution was